Well, my grandfather was a blacksmith on the railroad in Colorado, Denver. And then my dad graduated from high school and he needed a job, so he applied and became an apprentice under his own father. And first day on the job, he came out to see my grandfather and he handed him a torch and pointed to a locomotive about 100 yards away and said, go cut that up, I don't want any pieces any bigger than this. My grandfather kind of yelled at him and said, I'll give you one hint, so start at the top. And so 2 weeks later, he had that locomotive down to small pieces. And that's how he learned to burn. And that's how they did it back in the old days.
For the most part, what we do here for the Navy is we take a raw bar stock, heat it up, manipulate it into a shape. A lot of folks think we're the foundry, where you pour metal, we beat on metal, we heat it up and form it.
We create something out of just a block of steel, so it's a lot of fun and it's really rewarding.
We can heat up metal and manipulate it to not every shape you can imagine, but we can go really outside the box on these situations.
You know, let's say a boat has one seal ring that's bad, you know, and that's affecting their whole sub-safe system or whatever system on the boat. We're able to receive the job in, make the part, get it heat treated, and get it back out to them within a few days.
One of the things that folks don't understand is that our work is a art form.
It really is like art. Everybody is really working together.
It's kind of like blacksmithing, but on a larger scale. Blacksmiths are definitely artists, and what we do is very similar, just on a larger scale, using pneumatic tools and hand tools as well.
The toughest part of my job is getting used to the heat.
The heat.
The heat of the furnaces is definitely shocking.
People have asked me in the past, well, how hot is 2,200 degrees?
It's blistering hot.
Oh my God, oh my God.
That's the best way to explain it. You are blisteringly radiant hot.
2,200 degrees when you're wearing cotton gloves and cotton shirts and maybe an apron.
No tattered clothing, else you'll get burnt up in a fireball.
It gets warm.
We've had lots of folks coming into the shop thinking they want to do this work. And there's been a lot of folks that left within the first week. They just can't, some of them are scared of the heat, a lot of them just couldn't handle the heat.
We're a favorite shop to visit when it's the wintertime. Nobody comes around during the summer. When it's 90 degrees outside, it's probably 150 in here.
The first couple months, you go home and you bring that heat home and you're just laying in bed and it's hot. Your core is hot. But that's what's fun about it. You know, you overcome and you learn. Oil quenching is mainly for heat treat, and it's just getting a certain hardness for the customer. So they want a certain hardness for a certain part on the boat, and it's either water or oil.
I like oil quenches because whenever you take something that's, you know, 1,500 degrees and you dip it in oil, you know, there's always some flames. So the quicker you can get in the oil, the less chance you have of setting the top of the oil on fire.
And it's the same thing as doing a forging. You have to have communication with everybody on that crew, what the steps are going to be to get these parts out of the furnace and into the oil safely.
Bringing a basket out of a furnace, generally it's around 1550 degrees. Then you go into an oil bath, and as it's submerging, there's flames that are put off. As soon as it goes in the oil, it's a mineral oil, and the flame will go out.
From the furnace to the oil, or from the furnace to the water, we try to get it to like 30 seconds or less, which is, you think when you're working with hundreds of pounds, moving that quick, can be pretty scary. But we always go through a plan before, kind of like a dry run before we do quenching.
It's kind of like a ballet where you guys have to all be on the same page, come out nice and safely into the oil expeditiously, so we're not starting a fire, get it into that oil. The whole idea with that is that you're taking your forged parts, you're rapidly quenching it. It's the hardest that part's ever going to be now. It was already hard before because you forged it. You've added some strength to that sucker. But when you throw it into that oil, after reaching 1550 degrees, that's the hardest it's ever going to be. The problem with that is it becomes brittle. So that's when we have a temper. So the whole process that's called through heat treat is quench and temper.
A lot of people when they hear tempering, think tempering's hardening. Well, it's not hardening. Tempering is actually softening the metal. Because if metal's too hard, it's super brittle. So you have to soften it a little bit, because you want it to bend, not break.
It's a very essential part of the forging process. Without heat treat, there is no forgings, and it goes back and forth.
Setting out to accomplish a goal and really accomplishing it is wonderful, and that's what we do every job. We create something out of just a block of steel.
I think everyone in the shop takes pride in what we do because we are a small shop that tends to be a can-do shop, and we are able to make our parts on time. And the parts that we make, if they have to be forged, they tend to be critical parts.
We'll work all those days all the way through up until however long it takes to make this part so it gets all the way to the machine shop and all the way out to that boat, making it into whatever mission that they're going on. That's a really great feeling. That's a very wonderful feeling. We all walk away pretty happy with it.
As we used to make lots of the cups and crosses on the aircraft carriers, those are the tie downs for the aircrafts themselves. And you walk across the deck, you go, I made those. I made those parts.
I always joke with my wife about it, like when I work overtime, she gets upset when I work overtime, she actually spend time. And I say, baby, I have to work overtime because we have to keep the Navy afloat. Without us, the Navy wouldn't get parts.
I have a lot of pride in making the parts correctly and safely, because I know the sailors that are on these boats depend on us to give them quality parts. So when they go out in that boat, and they go 400 or 500 feet below the surface in a sub, or they're out in the middle of the ocean in an aircraft carrier, the part's not going to fail on them.
I'm very proud of the people who work here and their knowledge. The young people who are learning want to be here. Everybody who works here wants to be here. That makes me want to be here.
It's a very good feeling to know that maybe even if it's a really, really small part of what you're doing, helps keep our country safe in some way.